Okay. That always bothered me. Nothing wrong with it, but just something right about that. And as I was reading along in Galatians one day, and I found this thing. It's called a list of the fruits of the Spirit. And I read that whole list, and I went back through it. And you know what? The word blessed is not in there. There's another fellow, the guy that wrote the book, Jesus. He used the word blessed. So I looked it up where he used it. Let me give you his definition. He means you're poor in spirit, mourn, meek, hunger and thirst after righteousness. You're merciful, pure in heart, a peacemaker, persecuted for righteousness' sake, reviled, persecuted, falsely spoken evil of. Is that what you meant when you said you're blessed? No. No, when we say blessed, we mean we got out of the school we went to, that we wanted to go to. We pretty much got the job we wanted to go. We live in the area we want to live in. We kind of got the house we wanted to have. And we got the spouse we wanted to have. And we got the kids we want to have. We're pretty much driving what we want to drive. And we're about, we're doing pretty good making about what we want to make. And we got a few side activities and some hobbies. And we kind of get to do what we want to do. That's what blessed means in Christianity today. It has nothing to do with the life of Christ. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done in me. People are always talking about what made Jesus different. And I've heard some wild things. And as long as I've been, they were carrying me to church when I was in diapers, and I've been hearing it since then. Oh, Jesus was different because of this. And He had the Spirit without measure. And He was this. And He's the Son of God. And He's all this. He was something. That's right. But He did something we won't do. He would bow His knee and say that. Your will, not mine. No matter how many times you bring it up, you bring the Bible up, you break it out, it's sad to see. When there's a conversation going on, and somebody's got a question, and you open the Bible, here's what happens around the room. Because that means we're not going to get what we want. Talk to people all the time. Try to get through to them for Jesus. And immediately the thing that starts coming out of their mouths is, well, I don't think God will do that. I think God is... Well, guess what? He wrote us a book. And He didn't like they think. And the problem is, He's the guy setting definitions. He's the judge, not us. Let's go to Romans chapter 2. We're not scoring too high on this test here. Who is it, Habakkuk? Lord, revive your work in the midst of the years. I don't want to wait till I get to heaven to see it. I want it now. In this life, in the midst of the years. The only years I got are mine. In the midst of this time, in the midst of my years, revive your work. Romans chapter 2, verse 21. You, therefore, which teaches another, and teach you not yourself? You that preach that a man should not steal, do you steal? You that say a man should not commit adultery, do you commit adultery? Boy, that's a big one now. Many leaders of this generation of the church are disqualified by Paul's writings, by Jesus' sayings, from serving in ministry, yet they reign. You that abhor idols, do you commit sacrilege? You that make your boast in the law, through breaking the law, do you dishonor God? For the name of God is blasphemed among the Gentiles through you, as it is written. That's where we are today. 100 years ago, unsaved people wouldn't do some of the things we do today. I don't remember ever the first time I ever heard someone swear in public. Now you can barely go in public without hearing it. Nothing is safe. You can't. I won't leave my daughter in a room with a television without somebody there. When we're staying somewhere and look at one, you don't watch changing channels. Things have definitely changed. Do we follow our own advice that we give others around us? We teach our kids, don't do this, don't do that. Kids don't do what they're told, they do what they see. We produce, that's the problem with the church. We produce after our kind. We look at an individual and say, well, you know, he's this way and he might be so. But when he reproduces and there's a disciple, then it's set in stone that is a problem. These are glaring faults and problems, and they need to be dealt with. But since we don't want to do that, the easiest thing is to keep our mouths shut, not be godly, not suffer persecution, just be blessed, and not reproduce something that's going to make us look bad. Because a lot of people, that's all they worry about their kids. They don't really want them to be godly. They don't want them to be saved. They just don't want to make us look bad. As long as they don't go to jail. A guy told me that. He said, my kids are good kids. They're not in jail. I got a different definition. Thank you very much. Let's go to Jude, verse 15. Well, that's a good one. Have you looking all night for that? I really like this verse. Jude chapter 15. Ooh. Now let's start verse 14. It says, and Enoch also, the seventh from Adam, prophesied of these, saying, behold, the Lord comes with 10,000s of his saints to execute judgment upon all, and to convince all that are ungodly among them of all their ungodly deeds which they have ungodly committed, and of all their hard speeches which ungodly sinners have spoken against him. When God looks at us, ungodly, 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 ungodly. In the call of Isaiah, when he saw the Lord, the beings that were around him in the throne room cry, holy, holy, holy is the Lord. So I got to ask you, can you walk with him without being in agreement with him? No. Our nation, you can't get in the pulpit and talk about adultery. A pastor told me once, he said, I can't say anything about adultery. He said, if I get in my pulpit and throw a rock at adultery, he said, it'll bounce off everyone in the room before it hits the floor. You can't talk about abortion. You know, people say, well, I can't tithe. You don't understand. I believe I'm the one. I've got the understanding. You don't. If you think you can't, you don't understand your situation. People say, we can't tithe. I've heard estimates that maybe about 4% of Christians tithe. In 2007, in a few days, 10%, nearly 10% of the wealth of the world vanished. Nobody got it. It just gone. And I got to thinking about it. You know what? I said, God just showed us we really could tithe. We did. He just took a tithe off the planet. And we're all still breathing. Look at that. No, we're not willing to give up the fruit of our hands, the fruit of our labors. But how is it in a country of less than 400 million people We've been more than willing to tithe